Greetings, COM 705. This is Ben Frazier, your professor, and I just want to take a few moments to introduce myself and to say hi to you. Many of you I know already have had in other classes, or I've met at times you've been on campus. But I really enjoy teaching this class, and I wanted to say hi and maybe introduce just a little bit about theory this first week, and explain a little bit my perspective on teaching so that we can have a better semester together. There is a lot of reading in this class, and I can't say how important this class is to you as a scholar. The way knowledge is developed and created and understood in the academy is primarily through the development of theories. Now, many of you have had an aversion to theory, some of you, and also many students say, I really don't know what a theory is. There's so many definitions of theory out there, and both of those things are true to some extent, but perhaps maybe I can make it a little clearer, and I will do my best to do that. If I don't, email me and we'll talk some more about it. First, what is a theory? A theory to me is many things, and depending on the kind of research you're doing, theories serve a different function in the kinds of research. For instance, in quantitative research, a theory is really the direction that you're headed, and so you try to, in quantitative research, you try to prove and support a theory or develop a theory. In qualitative research, the theory comes in a little later. You're not trying to test it. You're really collecting your data, responding to your question, and eventually developing an understanding of that question in light of theory. And so you're really building and seeing what theory contributes. Both of those methodologies really emphasize theory building, but just not in the same way, in a little bit different way, and theory comes in to play in a little different way. Now, also, in the quantitative part, theory plays a larger role in a predictive way, and so it has that element to it sometimes, in fact, most of the time. However, in its broadest sense, that also can, in sometimes, even refer to the historical critical approach as well. Theory is this, in its most basic form. It is a describing and explaining. Describing is like thick description, trying to tell us in a carefully way what it is we're observing or what it is we're examining. So it describes, but it also explains, and explaining is really that part that says this is how this communication act or behavior happens and why it's happening. And so there's that explanation part. If you only have the describing part, that I would consider to be a model. A model is like when you were in grammar school and you had sitting in the corner somewhere a skeleton, and there's that skeleton, and it looks at it. Or if you're a boy, maybe you saw you used to make model cars, things like that. I didn't really like that sort of stuff, but I know some kids did. And so that model car is a miniature of what the larger car looks like, even sometimes right down to all the details. So a model serves a very important purpose, but a model does not explain how that car functions or how the skeleton in the corner functions with all the nerves and all the muscle and all the other kinds of things that make a body work. And in a way, at its most basic level, a theory describes the communication activity we're looking at and explains how that function works. And so this is why theory is important, because theory allows us to discuss. It gives us some common definitions. It gives us a conversation. And if nothing else, you and I as scholars need to enter the scholarly conversation and make a contribution to that. That's what our research should be doing. And the research is deliberate, it's systematic, it's thoughtful, and it does all these kinds of things because we are carrying on a conversation and talking and trying to explain the best we can how something works and why something works and under what conditions it works. And so those are the elements that we're looking at and trying to. So when we look at a theory or a group of theories, it is allowing us to enter that conversation, talk with other scholars, bring to bear not only the expertise of those scholars, but also research that that begins to influence our understandings and influence our knowledge and building our knowledge of how something acts or functions. So with that in mind, we can see that almost every method of research requires some level, almost every method requires some level of understanding theories and seeing how they function within our world. Most theories and communication theories, as you know, have a very short shelf life. If you look at Littlejohn, it's now in its 10th edition, and if you look, I was using Littlejohn back in the 80s when I was in graduate school. I'm not sure what edition it was, but it had to be an early edition. And the same theories that were in the books in the 80s are not the theories that are in there today. So theories, some of them grow, some of them develop, some theories change in powerful and large ways. Agenda setting is, for instance, one theory that's gone through many reincarnations of theory. And so as research has been done and developed and described and the explanations that's taken place, it has developed and moved on. So in all that you're doing here at Regent in the doctoral program, you must begin to understand the theories that most interest you and the research that you're going to be doing. And you need a breadth of theories, because theories, even outside of your area, may somehow affect you. For instance, I do not do a lot of research in interpersonal communication. And yet I study mainly mediated communication and its influence in our culture and in our world. However, we have found that mediated communication really affects, and to really know it and understand it, really affects interpersonal communication. You don't spend the great amount of times that we are now spending with the media without it affecting when we move from media to talking to a person face to face. And many times that influence that the media has on us now in some ways impacts and influence how we communicate with our friends, with our neighbors, with our business partners and people that we do business with and people that we go to school with. So there is an interaction. And when you go to conferences and when you meet other scholars, you really need to be able to carry on a conversation. Now, you may be an expert in one or two areas, but you need to have some breadth of the field. And so this class is designed to give you breadth across the field. And that's why every week we read a couple new chapters in Littlejohn, and eventually we'll do the same thing in Craig. And you take then from that reading and you get 2 or 3 articles that really, or a book and an article or something like that, that really impacts you or really interests you. And then you do your reading and you write your paper on those 2 or 3 or 4 articles that you do. I understand that not every week are you going to be able to do as much as you can other weeks. So I don't grade every week. What I do is I look across the whole time that you've been writing and to make sure that there's enough really strong weeks to make up for a couple of the weeks that are weaker, and that most of them, the weeks and most of the readings that you're doing, your classwork is keeping up, and that you're demonstrating to me that you have a mastery and an understanding, at least to some level, this material. There shouldn't be any problem with you doing well in the weekly assignments. I anticipate that most of you will do well. However, if you start missing them, if you start and there's a long string of not responding and not involved in the scholarship, or if you are responding, but it's just with opinion and not with considered and reasoned and supported by other scholars and other scholarly works, then that becomes a problem. Within the 4th week, if I see that's happening, I will let you know about that. If I see a problem with you getting a B or lower, then I will probably contact you. I will contact you. But if you're doing well, B or higher, then I probably won't bother you until about the 8th week, and then I'll let everybody know what grade they got for that first half and how they're doing. That gives them the second half in case they need to continue. Okay, that's great. Most people do, but a few of you may need to up the ante a little bit, and so that gives you the opportunity to do that. All right, I see that my time is up. I'm trying to keep these videos to about 10 minutes, and that's about what it is now. I look forward to working with each one of you. I will try to do a video each week. This first week, there's a lot of grace. We're just getting to know one another. We're getting the books. We're getting the readings going. Let me just say this. The first 3 chapters in Little John are perhaps the most important chapters you will read in this class. They give you the broader view, but they also talk about the components that make up a theory. They give us an explanation what a theory is. They give some definitions. You need to know them. They're not the only definitions, but they're certainly worthy of consideration and thought. So even though I'm not grading very hard this first week, I do expect you to do the reading chapter 1 and chapter 2 the first week, chapter 3 and 4 the next week, and chapter 1, 2, and 3 are absolutely important for the rest of the book, but important for your life as a scholar, because this is really a fundamental book in our field that nothing gets through 10 editions without being a pretty significant work. And Little John, and now Foss, that's working with him, it's his wife, a great rhetorical scholar working with more of a social science scholar, they both have produced a very good book. And so particularly pay attention to the first 3 chapters, but really, you really need to read all the book. Do you need to know all the theories that are in there? Absolutely not in the book. No, you don't need to know them all, but you should be aware of 2 or 3 within each chapter and really know them well. All right, God bless you. I'll try to videotape a little lecture, mini lecture every week, 1 or 2. Usually the first day, Monday or Tuesday, but sometimes it'll bleed on to Wednesday as it is today. God bless you. Have a great week. Look forward to seeing you next week and online. Bye-bye.